Hey there, you just clicked on First Down Punts. Nice move. This is a podcast about football and how it relates to fantasy football. Hope you like what you hear. We're going to get this thing started. Let's get crazy. And welcome in, everyone, to another episode of First Down Punts. I'm your host, Coach Chris. Today, we're going to be going over the trade deadline deals that happen, as well as some free agent waiver wire ads for your fantasy league. We're going to jump right into these trades. I posted this a couple days ago on it was yesterday for the Monday episode, about big names that could be traded people weren't expecting, and Sauce Gardner was one of those guys, and he got traded to the Colts today for 2 first-round picks, 2026 and 2027 first-round picks from the Indianapolis Colts, as well as A.D. Mitchell, who I said was a trade candidate as well after the drop football and then the benching, and then with the other receivers getting healthy and playing well, they didn't really need him. He was a piece they could afford to trade. It helps the Jets out. I actually like this deal for both sides. Sauce is a hell of a player. I know everybody's like, oh, he's only got, 1 or 2 interceptions in 50-some games. Sauce is a damn good corner. He had a rough year last year, been playing better this year. But the biggest thing is quarterbacks don't throw at him. And for a defense like the Colts, who their biggest problem was their pass defense, which Various Ward on IR, a couple other guys getting banged up throughout the year, getting Sauce Gardner is a great move for them. And then on the Jets end, getting 2 first-round picks, as well as a secondary receiver, because A.D. Mitchell could be their number 2, no problem. Let Arian Smith still be the deep guy. Garrett Wilson, he came back to practice today, so that's great news. Just a lot of things to like about this trade. I know Jets fans are a little upset. I don't know how Colts fans feel. They should be excited. I know it sucks giving up 2 first-round picks, but this is the type. I told you they could get a haul, and they did, man. Good job for the Jets, and good job for the Colts. They lost that game last week. They did not like the way it turned out. They went and made a move. And what's her name? Carly Ursay Gordon, I believe it is, the owner now, since Jim Ursay passed away. His daughter took over. I believe it's Carly as her first name. She's on the sideline. She's in people's ear. The Colts look like a different team this year. They look like a different organization almost. And the fact that they went and made this deal says they're trying to win, period. Trying to win it all, not just trying to be a playoff team or just be a good, decent team that makes the playoffs here and there. They're trying to win the Super Bowl. And that's what a move like this says. So good for them. Good for the Jets for getting that haul back. They're, 1-7, 1-8? I don't think they've had their bye yet. But all the same, I like both sides of this deal. On another deal the Jets made, they traded defensive lineman Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2026 second-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and defensive tackle Mazi Smith, who I believe was a late first round a couple years ago, came out of Michigan. Yeah, I believe that's where Mazi Smith went, was Michigan. But all the same, he's a young player, hasn't really worked out in Dallas, but when you're drafted in the first round, it generally says you got some talent. Maybe he can get there with Aaron Glenn, take that Quinnen Williams spot. Dallas gets a player. I'm a little confused by this move by Dallas. I love Quinnen Williams, think he's a great player. I didn't think the Jets would trade him. I thought it was going to be Quincy Williams that got traded. But Quinnen Williams is a hell of a player, and to put him next to Kenny Clark, hey, I like what you're doing there, Dallas. I feel like it might have been a little bit much to give up, but all the same, I like the idea of putting those 2 players together. Problem is, you're 3-5-1. If you were 5-3-1, this move would make a lot more sense. As well as the other major move where the Bengals traded their backup linebacker, Logan Wilson. He'd been benched this year, basically. And he's been a good player for them. He's had over 100 tackles like 4 or 5 years. He's a damn good linebacker. Just not his year this year. Hasn't been playing well. And on that defense, if you can't get on the field, that's speaking a lot of volumes. Now, maybe they sat him because they had plans to trade him. Who knows? All the same, he's in Dallas. He gets to play behind those 2 defensive tackles now. So maybe he can get back in that rhythm of a 100-tackle type of player and help the Dallas defense out because Lord knows they need it. On another move, the Chargers, this is a deadline deal. They made a couple deadline deals. They traded cornerback Jasir Taylor to the Jets for a conditional 7th-round pick. That'll usually become a 6th-round pick. That's what usually happens with those conditional picks. They go up 1 round from what the original idea was. If the player works out, they hit their stipulations that they agree upon, playing time, whatever. But Chargers made that deal, and then the Saints traded the Chargers offensive lineman Trevor Penning for a 2027 6th-round pick, This guy was a first round pick a couple 5-6 years ago. I forget how long ago it was now, but he was a first round pick that has not worked out for the Saints. They tried moving him to guard, just not working out. The Chargers need all the help in the world at offensive line. I think this is a great move by the Chargers. Didn't have to give up much, and you get a potential replacement for Joe Alt. And obviously, he's not Joe Alt, and he's not Rashawn Slater. But man, if you can just be a player that does 60% of what they do, the Chargers are going to be able to sustain that offensive success, because we've seen what happened when Alt was out. We've seen it's not going to end up well for the Chargers if they can't figure out how to protect Justin Herbert the rest of the season. So I like the move that they made. They're trading the corner to the Jets. The Jets had to get somebody a corner because they traded Michael Carter II a week ago and then traded Sauce this week or today. So they had to get a corner back. I'm glad they did. They probably end up signing a free agent or something, or maybe moving a safety over or something like that. They'll figure it out. But I like what the Jets did. The Jets now have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years, as well as I believe I know 1 extra second. I think they got 2 extra seconds over the next 2 years, but they definitely have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years. If they want to be able to go get a quarterback next year, they can. If they want to load up to build depth over the next 2 years, they can, and build a real contender. Aaron Glenn there just saw what they did in Detroit. Some people think Aaron Glenn's going to get fired before the season's out or at the end of the season. Maybe he is. But at the end of the day, they set him up. There was rumors that the Chiefs were trying to trade for Breece Hall and offered a 4th. The Jets wanted a 3rd. I appreciate you, Jets. Thank you for not just giving in and helping one of the best teams in the league become complete. So that's what I was ranting about yesterday. I'm proud of the Jets. The same with Jermaine Johnson. Had a couple teams call on him. They wanted more than a second. I think they wanted more than a second, and somebody offered a second. But all the same, I think it was the Bears and maybe the Niners were the other team. They came out trying to make a play for Jermaine Johnson. He's a hell of a player. Glad to see he didn't get traded. He's going to help that Jets defense going forward. So Jets made some moves today. It was definitely big news. The Saints also traded wide receiver Rashid Shaheed, another player we all thought could be traded, to the Seahawks for a 2026 4th rounder and 5th rounder. The Raiders traded Jacoby Myers to the Jags for a 26 4th rounder and 6th rounder. So I feel like the Seahawks or the Saints actually got the better deal for Shaheed, even though I believe Jacoby Myers is a more consistent player. But Shaheed's younger, got some speed to him, got that deep ball capability that Jacoby Myers kind of lacks. And they're both capable players going to help those offenses. Kind of puts a damper on Tony Horton there in Seattle with them getting Shaheed. But it makes you wonder how long Kupp's going to actually be out. And then with the Jags, Brian Thomas is banged up. Travis Hunter is on IR. Parker Washington it puts a little damper on him too as a waiver ad, but I still think Parker Washington, he's been the guy that's been there. He's the guy that Trevor Lawrence actually trusts and looks for. Jacoby Myers could become the replacement for one of those other guys if Thomas is going to be out longer than expected with a high ankle. Jacoby Myers can come in and fill that lead role and be able to at least help out that offense. I like the moves by both of these teams. The Seahawks get a player for a decent price that can help their offense, obviously, help Sam Darnold continue this hot streak he's on, because he's been doing the damn thing, and getting another weapon only helps that. So that's the end of the trades. The trade deadline is come and gone. Cowboys cut Malik Davis after him being the number 2 last night's game. Jaden Blue is inactive. I'm guessing he screwed up in practice again or something. But all the same, Cowboys turn around and cut Malik Davis today, so who knows what's going on there with the running back situation. They might be looking to sign a veteran. And then Frankie Luvu, the linebacker for Washington, has been suspended 1 game for repeated violations of the hip drop tackle. That is something they banned in the NFL or trying to get away from, and he is a repeated violator and has been suspended 1 game now. It does not help that Washington defense. They just lost Jaden Daniels. Mariota starting from now on. Washington's having a rough go of it right now. Kyler Murray, it's been announced that he is out 4 to 8 weeks, 4 to 6 some places, 4 to 8 others. Brissett will be starting for the foreseeable future. He has played better than Kyler Murray this year. They just beat the Cowboys on Monday night. Great game by him. Just Marvin Harrison had a career day so far. I expect that to not be his career standard. I expect his career days to get much higher with the talent he has. And it's good to see that Brissett's getting him the ball, They got that connection going right now. Trey McBride's still out there balling. The running back situation there, we'll get into that when we get into waivers, but it's a mess right now, to say the least. Kind of like some of these other places, Washington, fucking just a couple other places that have just got bad running back situations going on for fantasy. But Asante Samuel, cornerback, formerly the Chargers, he hasn't been signed this year. He was dealing with a spinal/neck injury. He has been cleared for football activities and is looking to sign with someone. I believe his agent's already been in contact with a handful of teams. So definitely could help out one of these teams that are looking for cornerback help. Omarion Hampton, it came out that he will have his window opened to return to practice after the Week 12 bye. It was originally expected he'd be out till around Week 10. It's Week 10. They're saying it's a couple more weeks before they even open the practice window. You don't love hearing that. Not for the Chargers. I mean, for the Chargers' sake, it's fine. Get them back for the playoffs. You can make the playoffs, but they got to make the playoffs, and losing Joe Walt's not going to help that situation. Michael Williams, defensive end for the 49ers. I forgot. I don't think I mentioned this yesterday in the injury portion of the video. Guy I love coming out of Georgia here this year. Niners got him as a defensive end. He's been playing well. Not top tier, but been playing well, and they needed all the help they have. They're just dealing with injury after injury after injury, and this is just another one added to the list. I wonder what they were going to do. Like I said, they were rumored to be trying to get Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, just were not willing to give up enough. Maybe didn't have the capital to hand over. But all the same, Michael Williams will be out for the season. He's been placed on IR with a torn ACL, I believe it is. Cedric Tillman, a wide receiver for the Browns, has been designated to return. And then the Steelers signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And a couple waiver ads we're going to get into here. Right off the top, Trey Tucker, obviously, with the Jacoby Myers being traded, and nobody else really there for them other than Brock Bowers. He came back, made a world of difference. They didn't end up winning the game, but you could tell the offense looked a hell of a lot better. So we'll get into these waivers now, guys. Sorry about the delay on that. Oop, I don't even need that piece of paper. QBs that we're looking at on the waiver wire, obviously J.J. McCarthy, the way he played this past weekend, you got to be looking at him as a waiver ad if he's available in your league, even as a backup right now, just as maybe an insurance policy, or you got a quarterback that still has a bye coming up. J.J. McCarthy's got to be the number one ad off of the waiver if he's available. Geno Smith, he came out. Apparently the cure to Geno Smith is getting Brock Bowers, because he came out and threw 3 touchdowns this past week and looked like he did like they wanted him to when they signed him. Let's put it that way. Much better player this year. Now, he loses Jacoby Myers. That's not going to help the situation. But at the end of the day, Geno Smith played much better. Genty got a little more involved in the receiving game, which is what you want to see. They still got Trey Tucker to get deep. I got a feeling Jack Beck's going to get a little more involved. Tyler Lockett was on the field in place of him basically last week, but now with them trading Myers, he'll probably be back involved a little bit. He had kind of taken over on opportunities on the field over Dante Thornton already. But Tyler Lockett and Trey Tucker are apparently the 1-2 there right now is how it looks. We just talked about with the Kyler Murray stuff. Jacoby Brissett, he is a definite ad the way he's been playing this year in the fill-in starts. And now he's got at least 4 weeks, it sounds like. Definitely a guy that with Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, you got options, you got weapons. You can put up points in fantasy. Arizona plays some tough teams, but Brissett's been playing well, man. Been playing clean football. He's a player I've liked since he was in New England as a backup when they first drafted him up there. He's just a pro, man. He's not going to be the best player on the world, but he can come out and ball. If you give him some weapons, he can hit those guys with good timing and everything else. So, and then Marcus Mariota, with Daniels going down, probably out for the season, Mariota becomes a definite ad if you need a backup quarterback. I'm not saying I would start him as a number 2 in the super flex, but he's definitely worthy as a backup spot and a guy I'd be grabbing. With C.J. Stroud getting a concussion, he's not practicing he's not expected to practice Wednesday. Davis Mills has got to be under consideration. They played Jacksonville this week, I believe. And the way Jacksonville's defense played the last few weeks, they're not as threatening as they once were. He'll probably have to throw with the Jags able to score a little bit of points. But against that Houston Texans defense, maybe not, because the Texans defense is excellent. We've seen that on display already this year. So maybe they could slow down the Jags offense with new receiver, no Brian Thomas possibly. You never know what's going to happen in that game. Maybe Davis Mills doesn't have to throw as much, but if you're desperate for a starter this week, Davis Mills has started games before. He knows how to get the ball, and he was force-feeding Nico Collins, which is always a good idea in football. And then the last guy, Bryce Young, he ain't been the best this year, but he plays the Saints this week. Saints haven't been a great defense. They play tough, but they're just not top notch. And with Ted McMillan there, Rico Dowdle, the way he's running the ball, that should set up play action for those guys. Maybe they can get Jatavian Sanders or the rookie Mitchell Evans coming up on tight end, do a little thing. But if you're desperate for a starter, Bryce Young, you could do worse than Bryce Young. Running backs to add, obviously number one player, Kyle Monangai. If he is available, go get him. I believe he's going to be involved the rest of the season. Even though Swift may be back this week, maybe he's not. You get another start out of him. But he came out and had 176 yards rushing last week, and that is no fluke. I don't care who they were playing. The fact that you had 176-yard rushing says something. Now, am I expecting that again this week? No. But I am expecting the Monangai is going to stay involved, and even with Swift back, I believe they're going to start trying to alleviate some of the amount of carries that Swift has had. Not necessarily the pass catching portion, but the carries he's had. It's been wild. Like I said, he's in staple back consideration right now. He's got all the marks that you needed. Now he misses a game. That's going to hurt his chances to be a staple back. And if Monangai starts taking more snaps away, that's going to hurt his chances to be a staple back. But right now, Monangai looks good on his opportunities. He's definitely a guy that should be on people's rosters in fantasy. Devin Singletary, Giants running back. Everybody thought it was Tyrone Tracy. I tried to mention this. The Singletary is still going to be involved. He's a solid back. Another one of those guys. I just liked him. He's a pro, man. He knows his job. He knows how to do it. Is he the best at it? No. Is he the worst at it? Absolutely not. He's going to do his damn job. And in fantasy, he actually had more. I believe he had more points than Tracy as well. But he definitely had 2 more carries than Tracy. Just more opportunities. He was on the field more, snap percentage. So he may actually be the starter they're going with. And Tracy is just that receiving back and the backup running back. 50-50 split, somewhere around that. Definitely interesting to watch going forward, but you got to consider that Singletary is possibly the starting running back with the Giants. Dylan Sampson with Quinshon Judkins, he practiced today. Or yesterday? Today, I forget when the report came out. I think he practiced yesterday. But all the same, sounds like he's going to be able to play if he's already practicing. Not sure if he was in a non-contact jersey. I didn't see that. But Dylan Sampson is still worthy of an ad, especially with Judkins getting banged up. He could always get banged up again. And Sampson, I believe they're going to get more involved in the pass game. If they can get that offense playing better, it could definitely benefit them to use both running backs. So with the chance of Judkins, it's a slim chance now, I feel like, but still a chance that he can miss this week's game. Sampson's got to be added, not the number one priority, but a guy that if you need a bench stash is the type of guy you want. Mario DiMercato, after he dropped the football and then got banged up and then basically disappeared for a couple weeks, he is back in the good graces of the Arizona Cardinals. Michael Carter's third string. Bam Knight was the backup is how it looked in this game because DiMercato was on the field a lot and was involved. Bam Knight and DiMercato are probably the 2 running backs. Another one, he's running back messy situations, like I was saying. But DiMercato is the pass-catching back. He's a 2-minute back, and he does return still. So he's definitely probably got the most value right now. Bam Knight I still feel like he's that goal line back for them. But like I said, messy situation. If you're in a PPR league, DiMercato is probably actually the more valuable player. He almost had a touchdown this week. Definitely a guy that you could consider picking back up because he was originally the guy you wanted once Benson got banged up. So something to look at going forward if you need a running back. A couple more guys, Isaiah Davis, Tank Bigsby, Terrell Jennings. I'm just going to talk about these as a group basically. They're all backups. Terrell Jennings is actually a third stringer, but if Ramondre misses again, Jennings had, I think it was 10 for 30 or something like that and a touchdown last week. He got the only goal line carry. I hate to see that for Henderson because you want him to have the damn ball, especially when Ramondre's out. It should be all Henderson, but the Patriots are hard-headed, and, hey, they're winning games, so what can I say? But Terrell Jennings he's the deepest of the leagues type of stash player and possible start if you're desperate, you've had a bunch of injuries, whatever else. But Bigsby and Davis, they both are behind valuable running backs, same as Sampson. Both behind guys. And with Saquon having a groin injury, now they said he could have came back in. They've had their bye week, waiting to see the practice reports coming out this week. But Bigsby is definitely worthy of an ad if you didn't grab him last week after you seen that. Maybe you lost somebody this past week and you got an open spot. Go grab Tank Bigsby, man. He had 9 for 104, 106, whatever it was when he came in for Barkley. He looked good in that Philly offense and probably could do some damage if he does get to fill in. Then Isaiah Davis, he's behind Breece Hall. And I still feel Isaiah Davis has value even if Breece Hall doesn't get hurt or anything, simply because I think they're going to continue to use him. You've seen it the game before the bye week. they did what I expect them to do. Use Justin Fields, Breece Hall, and Isaiah Davis to run the hell out of the ball. I want to see that continue. I believe it will. I believe they're going to still try to play a controlled clock. Now, to get A.D. Mitchell, that gives a little more passing options. If Garrett Wilson ends up practicing all week and getting back this week, it's only going to help that offense. And hopefully they continue to do that, use that to build the play action and be a much more successful offense. But Isaiah Davis, with his kick return game and being a backup there and being an insurance policy to one hell of a back, one hell of an opportunity, he's worthy of adding to your roster if you haven't already. The wide receivers to talk about today, Jacoby Myers obviously is one of them, getting traded to the JAGS, as well as Parker Washington. Because like I said, if Brian Thomas is missing time, both of these guys are – I think Jacoby Myers, they went and traded for him. They want him to play one of those outside roles, maybe put him in the slot, let Washington play outside. But all the same, I believe they want him on the field if they went and traded for him. Even when Brian Thomas gets back or plays, whatever, I believe it'll be Thomas and Myers, and then Washington will be that third wide receiver like he has been behind Hunter and Thomas. So both worthy of ads. If Myers is on your waiver, he would definitely be my priority over the other guy. Christian Watson, I told you last week, told you a couple weeks ago, came out, had four for 80-something. Good day for him, nothing big, but he's only going to get better the more opportunities he gets, the more he gets on the field, feeling healthy, getting back in shape, all that good stuff. And Golden's a little banged up. Romeo Doubs is a solid vet, but he's not that big play guy like Watson is. So if Watson can get that explosive speed back, get downfield, he looked good. He wasn't out running people, but he was still out jumping people and catching passes. So I think he's a guy you should have on your team at this point. And then along with that, Jaden Reed, the wide receiver there in Green Bay that's on IR. If you have an open IR spot, right now is the time to add him. He's got maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks left before his window's open. He gets back on the field pretty soon. That just improves the Jordan Love situation as well as pass catching options for him. And Jaden Reed is the big play gadget guy that they want to use that they don't have right now. They're trying to use Savion Williams on the screen plays, using this guy on end around. You know what I mean? They're just trying to – Jaden Reed fills a couple of those spots with one player on the field at all the time if they want. Now, he's never played, I think, over 80% or something like that at the snaps. But he's definitely a player that is worthy of an ad because he is a special talent that, when healthy, he can help that Green Bay offense and can help your fantasy team. Demario Douglas. Talked about him as my sneaky start last week. Kayshon Boutte got banged up this week. I think it was a hamstring. Demario Douglas went 4 for 100 and a touchdown, and my attitude is go pick him up because with Boutte possibly missing, they didn't trade for a wide receiver. Demario Douglas is a definite ad. Darius Slayton, Giants wide receiver. We talked about him already. Should have had a touchdown 2 weeks ago. Got called back on a questionable offensive pass interference. But all the same, he had the opportunity to make the play and score and everything. It just got a penalty on him and called back. But last week, he goes, 5 for 63, I believe it is. Solid day, nothing special. But as a third or fourth wide receiver, flex guy, Darius Slayton, you could do worse. And the way Jackson Dart's playing, he's going to get opportunities to score touchdowns. Chimere Dickey, I keep talking about this guy. I know he had the big day 2 weeks ago. This Sunday, he only had one catch, but had 215 return yards. This is a specific type of player for a specific type of league that gives points for return yards. Because if you do, it makes him that much more valuable. I believe the Titans schedule starts to lighten up here in the next week or so. And Ward's only going to get better over the course of the season. I know everybody's down on Ward right now, but Cam Ward knows how to throw the football. If he get a little bit better protection, receivers develop. Ridley ended up staying, didn't get traded, so he'll probably be back on the field the next week or so. They still got Alec Maynard, the other rookie. I believe with Gunnar Helm coming on, Chigga is still there. These are guys as a combination. Tajay Spears playing well right now. These are guys as a combination. Tajay Spears is a waiver ad too. I should have said that. He's probably already on a team in somebody's league, but if he's not, go pick him up. He's been getting at least 50% of the opportunities for the last 2 weeks for the Titans. And he is the pass-catching back and probably the faster back. But with the weapons around Cam Ward, are they dominant players? No. But as a collection, they can be a good set of players. And as long as he can get some protection, I think Cam Ward's going to continue to grow throughout the season. I keep saying this. I didn't think he was going to come in and be Jane Daniels or one of these other superstars that just starts off right away. I felt like Cam Ward was going to take time because Tennessee doesn't have a great team to support. Now, the Commanders didn't either, but Jane Daniels is a much different type of talent than Cam Ward is. So, but with the return yards, Chimere Dickey is an obvious add in any league that gives return yards. Next guy, Alameda Zacchaeus, the Bears wide receiver. I thought they were going to shop DJ Moore, but the way Zacchaeus played last week, the way Caleb Williams was going to him, I think he's worthy of an ad in deep leagues for a bye week filler over the next few weeks. And maybe you don't have to force him in, but someone to have maybe pick up if you got a spot and see what happens this week. And if it continues, then you go, all right, I can use this guy going forward. Jordan Addison, he's probably not on any rosters anywhere or any waiver wires anywhere. But if he is for some odd reason, because people got scared off by J.J. McCarthy and the Carson Wentz situation, he's been playing great. He shouldn't be. He's more of a trade candidate than he is a waiver ad, but I just got to put him on here because he's just been playing awesome. But Jalen Naylor is a waiver ad if Justin Jefferson is going to end up missing any time. Now, he did something to his hamstring last week, ended up coming back in the game, but over the course of the week, does it tighten up? Does it get worse during practice? It's something to pay attention to. You don't have to rush out and pick up Jalen Naylor, but he's someone to consider after the waivers go through that maybe you wanted to get this guy first, and then you go get a Jalen Naylor on the secondary round. And just hold on to him for a few days, see if Justin Jefferson's going to end up missing or not. Because if he isn't, okay, drop him, whatever. Or hang on to him and see what happens going forward with J.J. McCarthy experience. But my attitude is if Justin Jefferson misses practice on Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Jalen Naylor is worthy of a pickup just in case. So, and then the last guy, Ray McCloud. We talked about Darius Slayton, but Ray McCloud got cut by the Falcons, ended up signing with the Giants. He had one catch last week, wasn't really super involved. But over the course of the second half of the season, they need pass-catching options. Ray McCloud is a decent little player. Is he some superstar? No. But with him, Wandale, and Darius Slayton, Jackson Dart has a little more options. And if Ray can get involved between return game, maybe some end rounds, maybe that short game, Wandale can try to be the deep player a little bit more. We'll see what happens. But he's just somebody to pay attention to, not so much run out and ad, but someone to pay attention to. On the tight ends, Dalton Schultz, I've talked about him the last couple of weeks. He is still involved, even with Nico Collins coming back. Davis Mills was throwing him the ball. So he's definitely a guy that you could feel comfortable picking up and adding, whether it's Stroud or Mills this week. Luke Musgrave, with the news of Tucker Kraft tearing his ACL, going on IR, Musgrave becomes a must-add simply for the fact that he is going to play that tight end slot for the Packers starting off. Now, who knows? They were looking at trades. There was rumors they were trying to get Njoku from Cleveland. But at the end of the day, Musgrave is the starter right now, and that spot has been valuable. Obviously, I don't think him and Tucker Kraft are on the same level of talent, but Musgrave was a second-round pick, and Kraft was a fourth, I believe it was. So they took Musgrave with the intent of him being the starter. Now, Tucker Kraft is obviously a special talent. There was a reason they drafted 2 tight ends in that draft. Sucks that he's going to be gone for the season, but Musgrave should have some value there for a fantasy tight end. If you lost Tucker Kraft, you'd really like to continue to get those points. Maybe this isn't the guy that does that, but at least he gets a portion of those. Greg Dulcich, I talked about him after the Thursday night review for Miami. He's been all over, but right now he's in Miami. Julian Hill missed the game due to injury. Greg Dulcich came out of a decent day. I think it was like 4 or 5 catches. And just someone you could pick up as a bye week filler, maybe as a stash guy, maybe you lost somebody to injury, or maybe you want to trade somebody before your deadline. I don't think he's going to be your tight end replacement, but maybe he is. Maybe he can fill that role that Jonnu Smith did last year and Darren Waller was doing there for a little bit. Maybe he can beat his guy. Dulcich has always had talent. He just hasn't been able to do it consistently. Maybe this is the offense for him. And then Taysom Hill, talked about him. I expected him to be involved a little bit more with Shuck starting just because of the lack of mobility on Shuck's part compared to Spencer Rattler. Taysom Hill was definitely involved, had 4 rushes for 30 yards, I believe it was. No catches, no passes, but just something to pay attention to going forward. And the fact that he starts at tight end and plays running back and quarterback and tight end, he's always that wild card you could throw in there. And then Theo Johnson is the guy that I've been talking about for a handful of weeks. He continues to produce with Jackson Dart at quarterback. He's a guy you should be picking up. Especially, this is the guy that if you're looking at trading your starting tight end right now to a team, trying to pick up a receiver, a running back or something, go get Theo Johnson. He can be your starter going forward. Maybe he's not George Kittle or one of those guys, the top-notch Brock Bowers type guys that we're expecting. But he's definitely a guy that can help your team going forward. He's got, 4 touchdowns in 5 games? It might be 5 touchdowns in 5 games. But all the same, guy that's been involved. And with Bellinger, with the eye injury, I'm not even sure if he's going to be back this week yet. Theo Johnson's a guy that I like to pick up and start over the last few weeks. So definitely a guy you should consider. A couple defenses. With all the trade news, some people will be down on the Jets, but they play the Cleveland Browns this week. Short of Quinshon Judkins, there's not too much I'm fearing. I love Harold Fannin Jr., but I'm not a big Dylan Gabriel guy. Njoku's a solid tight end, but still not a Dylan Gabriel guy. Quinshon's is the biggest fear there. And if he could go off for 150 yards and a touchdown, maybe even 2 touchdowns, and they're still only giving up 14 points. So the Jets defense with their return game, even with the loss of Sauce, they still got players on that defense that can play ball. Not going to be expecting as big a day, but the return game is great. That helps out if you get return yards for your defenses. If you don't, maybe not consider the Jets. Go pick up the Cleveland Browns. Coming off a bye, they get to play the Jets with Justin Fields. Now, Brees is still there, so it would have been nicer if Brees got traded and picked up the Browns. But the Browns are a top-end defense, and regardless of who they play, they're worthy of a start short of a couple teams. And then the last one, Tampa Bay defense, coming off a bye. Some teams might have dropped them. Next couple games aren't the best starts, but down the second half of the season, they got some beautiful matchups. And this is more of if you got somebody to start over the next week or two, then you drop them. Tampa Bay will take over from there and be your defense going forward. Kickers to pick up, just a couple guys. Jake Elliott, another one coming off a bye for the Eagles. And then Zane Gonzalez, Atlanta, after the misses by Parker Romo this past week, that cost them the game, missed extra point to tie it up, possibly take it to overtime. They cut Parker Romo. This was after they've already had to cut Younghoe Koo. Now they have signed Zane Gonzalez, formerly of about 4 teams. I think the Commanders were the last, maybe the Cardinals were the last team he played for. I forget who it was now, but he's a solid kicker, man. And with that Atlanta offense, when they're clicking, he gets out. The kicker there is going to get opportunities. Younghoe Koo was an awesome kicker for years, and then got the yips, I guess. I don't know what happened, but definitely a couple kickers there you could pick up and start for you and get some points out of. But other than that, guys, we're going to get out of here. I hope you're having a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you're watching. Until next time, I'm out. First down, Punts!